This video is brought to you by Squarespace. If you need a website or domain, check out squarespace.com. Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video. Image processing can be a pain or repetitive on some days, with everyone rushing to get the same results out to make images bright and colorful. But not every photo is best served by being bright and colorful. Sometimes the best thing you can do is go darker, hide distractions, fix bad colors, and make your subject stand out instantly. In this video, I'll show you when and how to go dark and moody so you can go from this to this and this to this. My name is Simon D'Entremont and I'm a professional nature and wildlife photographer living in Eastern Canada. I make weekly videos giving you photo tips or taking you behind the scenes for nature photography. Subscribe if you want to see more.
Try to open up your mind sometimes. You'll be just fine.
So not every photo is meant to be bright, vibrant, and full of color. Sometimes the scene itself is telling you to go in a completely different direction. Maybe you've got dramatic light, strong shadows, hard contrast, a subject that's already half in darkness. If you try to lift everything up and make it bright, you actually lose what's made the image interesting in the first place. Or maybe the background is busy, distracting, just a mess. A dark and moody edit can simplify that instantly, pulling attention back to your subject without needing to clone things out or crop half the frame away. Now, while in some genres, processing for accuracy is what's best, and often what I do with wildlife photography, for example, it's nice to have an extra arrow in the quiver for when processing a photo for accuracy will be pretty bad, because the photo was pretty bad to start with. Do you throw it away? No, we're gonna save it with a dark and moody look. Okay, let's get into it and look at a couple of examples. Okay, here's the first of my photos I'm going to try to salvage from the trash bin. Here's a photo I took after sunset, and what I was really trying to take a photo of here was an interesting rock and the water swirling around using a slow shutter speed, and I used this line of old post here as a leading line in the photo. But the sky is overly bright and featureless, which isn't very interesting. So let's see what we can do here with a dark and moody look. First, we need to crop this a bit. I'll go 4x5, which is a popular size maybe on Instagram and Facebook, for example. I'll just make sure this is a bit level. And what are we going to do here? First off, the foreground is too dark and the sky is too bright and featureless. So here, let's see what we can do here. Maybe, now if I try to use a sky mask, which I can, I try to darken it, we're gonna get a really ugly gradient here, I think, with the yellow here and the orange in the sky. So rather than use a sky gradient, what I'd rather do sometimes is take a linear gradient, so there's less effect at the horizon level a bit. And let's see what happens when we darken this. Now it's gonna turn a kind of not very pretty color of blue. So we're kind of in a situation here where it's lifeless, it's dark, and not very colorful. So let's see what we can do here with black and white. And black and white allows you to take the sky to a much darker level and still look okay. We're gonna turn this around a bit, maybe to match some of the lines of the clouds here a bit. Let's do a bit of that. Now, in the foreground here, we have this here that really want to be the star of the show a little bit here. So I'm going to take a radial gradient and just kind of put it around this area where I can maybe add a little bit of exposure, add a little bit of a clarity. The clarity will make these streaks pop. If you look right here, see these streaks of the running water that I shot with a slow exposure. Clarity will make those pop a little bit more. Then as well here, these posts, something I can show you in black and white that really looks good, or in any kind of dark processing and moody processing approach, if you use a select object here. So we're going to paint this line of posts here with a select object mask. Let's see what kind of job it does there. Very, very good. Now I'm going to raise the exposure a little bit, but here's what I want to show you. On an old fence post, pushing up the clarity just looks really, really good. Let's zoom in here and give you a before and after. And you see how much character there is in these fence posts when turned into black and white with a little bit of clarity. So I think that's why on the keyboard, by the way, to give you a before and after. Then what else can we do here? We've got some beautiful lines here. Again, as I showed you earlier, let's use a radial gradient. You can put a radial gradient anywhere you want, and adding some clarity here, see, we'll make some of that pop a little bit. I think we can go back to the sky here just for what I'm doing with this photo. We can even make it darker, and I can knock this down a little bit. And let's now play just with the highlights a bit and the shadows, get those just right. Look at the whites again and look at the blacks. Now, if you don't want a perfect flat black, the easiest way to do this is to go to the tone curve here. You see this dot on the left? This is pure black. If I slide this up a little bit, notice how the blacks are getting more into the grays and less dark. So if you want a kind of a washed out look, push this up a little bit and it'll move you away from pure black. And if you found that it's taking some of the darks away from your photo, just click up here and pull that down a little bit, and that'll make overall some areas darker, but will pull you off of pure flat black. So hit Y on the keyboard. Here's a before and after. We've just brought a little bit more character. We kept kind of the dark look, but we revealed more detail in areas, and took a photo that was, you know, it would have needed a lot of work, and I'm not sure bright and vibrant would have been really a good way to salvage that photo, and went with a dark and moodier look instead. I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. I built my own website using Squarespace, and it was a breeze. A website is just a great way to have a professional place online where you can show off your work, your service, or your personal brand. Social media are often showing you or your work in short clips or small thumbnail photos, and sometimes makes it difficult to monetize, as they may not want links to external sites. A website is a permanent home for you and your work and your brand, presented in galleries or on pages designed by you that show them off at their best. There are lots of useful templates, including ones for specific genres like photography, which is mine. Or if you're more daring and artistic, you can go outside the templates using the new AI feature called Squarespace Blueprint to help you personally curate your own build. It's also a great way to monetize your work by setting up an online store so you can take payments by credit card or even PayPal from all over the world. And now with a new added feature of buy now and pay later with ClearPay and Afterpay. Go to squarespace.com to sign up for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Simon for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Let's look at another photo. For a second photo here, what I want to do is try something a little bit more artistic. I've spent weeks and weeks in Amboseli in Africa photographing elephants. In terms of elephants crossing a field, I have thousands of photos of elephants crossing a field. And after a while, they start looking quite similar. This was interesting light though. The background was a bit dark in shade, but the elephants were in the sun, making a nice contrast, and maybe playing up that contrast a bit is a way that we can do this as well. The sun was quite bright on them, so it kind of washed out a lot of the colors and so on, but elephants have these beautiful features with cracks and folds in their skin that maybe we can try to emphasize a bit and have a dark and moody look to accompany this. So let's go with a little bit of a crop here, just a bit. Something like this. Certainly don't want to cut out the little one on the right here, which looks very nice. And you want to leave a little bit more room in the direction in which they're heading off. And so now for dark and moody look, what we can do, we can just darken the whole exposure quite a bit and then raise the whites until we get them back up a bit. Now here it's wise sometimes to click up here on the upper right hand side of the histogram to enable highlight clipping so that you know when you're blowing things out, because you don't want to blow them out. So I'm going to raise this, but without blowing things out a bit. I am maybe going to blow out a little bit here on the tusks, but I can salvage that later with a little bit of a mask on it. But so I'm going to raise these up until I'm not blowing out too much here. And what you're going to notice as well, if I add some clarity and some dehaze, which is sometimes a good strategy on some of these photos where you want a little bit more of a grunge look, perhaps. The problem is it raises your vibrance a lot. Now you can lower the vibrance if you want. That is an option as well. And but what I like to do actually is go down here to the color mixer and knock all the colors down to 0, and then bring them up one at a time to see which ones help or don't help the photo. So there's not a lot of red in this photo. I'm not expecting much. Now orange, I am going to get some orange on the bodies of these elephants, which sometimes go from gray to more orangey look if they've been mud bathing. Yellow is going to bring back a lot of the grasses. There's a lot of yellow there, and green will as well a bit. But an interesting tip for you, if you want a really subdued green, take the yellow out of the green and you'll see that the green will end up being a much darker, cooler tone, which can look very good. Aqua, I'm not expecting much. Blue is going to bring the sky, or it's not really sky there actually, it's a mountain in the background. But I don't want that too blue. I think a desaturated look is going to look good here. And purple and magenta, I'm not expecting anything in here as well. Now this bright spot is really catching the eye, and you'll notice that in darker moody photos, bright spots will attract the eye. Now you can use this to your advantage, like here on the backs of these elephants, but the background here I find is a bit distracting for this approach. So I'm going to take a linear gradient, just pull it down from the top here a bit. And to make sure you're not affecting the subjects, you can do a right click here and intersect mask with background. Another way would be to do a subtract. Right here, I could do subtract subject, and it would do the same thing. Now I'm going to lower the exposure here a little bit. I'm going to move this up a little bit just so that it's not so cut off at the bottom there. And then sometimes for a dark moody look, it's nice to take another linear gradient and put it up from the bottom and kind of sandwich the two sides together as well. And now that we've done that, we can do some overall adjustments here. We can play with the highlights to see how it affects kind of the back of these elephants as well. We can play with the whites again. Again, don't clip, but I like the contrast between the bright backs of the elephants and the rest of their bodies, but we don't want them blown out. So what we can do with the highlights here, we can tone them down a bit, and quickly I can make a subject mask right here. And the elephants are a little bit shadowy in their bodies, so I can raise this up a little bit. And let's play with the overall exposure again. And here we've got something we can play as well when you use clarity and dehaze here, which you're seeing to really kind of make the photo punchy. You will notice that the saturation gets blown out, and you'll notice as well that the white balance will get very sensitive to change. So if you notice, I'm going to move this to the right a bit, and how orange it turns quickly, and if I move it left, how blue it turns quickly. So be very sensitive to the white balance, and you can play with this for artistic effect to kind of eyeball it if you want. So here is a quick before and after, just making a bit of a different look on the photo. Given that the photo on the left, I've got thousands of these, and I just wanted to make something that looked a little bit different. As well, you can click black and white if you ever want to on a desaturated photo and give that a try to see how that looks as well. And by the way, if you're a wildlife photographer like me and you'd like to learn more about processing wildlife photos in Lightroom Classic so you can turn your photos from this to this and this to this, I have a whole course with 30 modules and 10 hours of video footage exclusive to processing wildlife photos. I'll leave a link below. Let's try one more. Here's a photo of a lion I took in Zambia, and it was this big male lion was walking along in the shade and poked up his head somewhere where there was a hole with the bright sunrise poking through. I actually almost overexposed it. But if you notice here, if I lower the exposure, you'll notice that there's no parts blown out. And that's because I was shooting in RAW, gives you more dynamic range and more options, even when you think you've blown things out. So this photo here, I could just lower the exposure and that would be my photo, and parts of it look good, but the background I just find is distracting, not helping. So why don't we try something with more artistic, with a darker look perhaps, to see how that might work. Now what we can do here in this particular case, I think the contrast between the fully lit partial head of the lion against a dark background looks really good. So let's emphasize this. I'm going to create another mask, a background mask in this particular case, And I'm gonna lower this down a lot. Now, if I lower it all the way to pure black, you're gonna get a couple of things are gonna happen. These edges where the masking is taking place become a little bit abrupt and maybe don't look that good. So I tend to try to not do it too much or all in one go, because sometimes it just creates too many artifacts. So I'm gonna lower it quite a bit. Now, if I press O to reveal my mask, you will see here that it creates a little bit of a problem with my mask. It's not perfect here. So here the mask is gone over onto my subject, so I want to remove. I can click on this box right here, hit minus, which is to subtract from the mask, and I'll take a brush, and I can brush away where the mask has gone overboard a little bit. For these areas where there's fur and fuzz and masking is not perfect, I plan to make an upcoming video on how to refine masks for things like hair, fur, and so on that can be a little bit difficult. So now we've got our lion against a very, very dark background. There's still a section here that's not as dark, so I'm going to try to play with that a little bit. Now, there's a few different strategies I can use for that. I can use a radial gradient here and just put a radial gradient over this area, but of course it's covering my subject again. There's a few different options I have there for refining this mask. Number one, I can select subtract subject, and again I can take the subject out of the mask, and that way I can darken it a bit without darkening the subject too much, and that works pretty good here. Something as well I find when you're using this approach of having something bright against something dark, especially something furry or fuzzy, these abrupt edges here in a way don't look good. So you can play with those a little bit, by the way, by making something like using a brush, lowering exposure, and what you can do, you can brush along the edge here and just make a faded, and you can play with the exposure here. You can kind of fade the edge a little bit so it doesn't look too harsh. As well here, this part of the back of the line showing kind of doesn't look really good. So I'm going to go all the way down here to post-crop vignette and add a little bit of vignette, which will kind of ease the body of the line into the photo here. Now that we've got the background pretty close to black, it doesn't need to be perfectly black as well. And if you want it to be less than full black, again, you can go over here to the tone curve and you can play with this a bit and get it off of full black if you want. But you may like the contrast of full black, so that is an artistic choice, totally up to you. Now we can just look at the line again. We can lower the highlights a bit so it's not too bright. We can add a bit of contrast if we want to make it pop, if you want it to pop a bit. You can add some clarity, which often makes the details pop. And the vibrance, I probably wouldn't go too far to the right because it will get quite orangey in that full morning light. But you might desaturate it if you want a more grungy look. You can go all the way to the top here and hit the black and white button if you want a black and white look. And you can play with the crop a little bit. You could make more a portrait crop with a square crop, which looks pretty good. Personally, I like to have some room to look into. I'd be tempted to use a crop, something like this. And of course, here's a before and after, a totally different look. But sometimes preserving the brightness and the color can be great for accuracy. That's the way you like to process. But sometimes it's a really good opportunity for us to try different things, especially this dramatic lighting opportunity where you can do something artistic, which may be something you're interested in doing. And it's a great tool to have in your toolkit to know some options around darker and moodier processing. I hope you like this video. Give it a like so YouTube will share it with other photographers looking to up their game in processing. And I hope you can use these tips to come home and process your own unique and amazing photos. I know you can do it.